Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Today we would like to present about tax administration for individual in Malaysia. The problem scenario. Ms. Hanis, a leading Malaysian influencer, lacked clarity regarding her tax obligation under the self-assessment system (SAS), despite earning more than 3,000 monthly from sponsored content and online business, putting her at a risk of penalty or legal consequences for non-compliance.
For the first content that I will be presenting is responsibility of taxpayer. Taxpayer is fundamental aspect of functioning in society and understand responsibility. For the first point of responsibility, understand tax law. As a taxpayer must understand and comply with all relevant tax law and regulation. Secondly is payment of tax. Must pay tax on time and in full. Thirdly is seeking professional assistance. Consider seeking for professional when dealing with complex tax matter. After that, keeping up with change. Always keep an eye out whenever there are change in tax and regulation. Fifthly, contribution to society. Understand that we pay tax for government to fund public service such as education and healthcare. And lastly, ethical consideration. We must have ethical standard and can demonstrate integrity and honesty.
Hi, my name is Rukman Arif and I will explain about self-assessment systems. For the self-assessment system, we have tax identification numbers. The government have developed an e-tax regime intent to centralize and consolidate the taxpayer database with a single tax identification numbers. Ms. Hani can apply on online application in Data or at manual registration at assessment batch for the responsibility to keep documents. Under Section 82A of the Act, require Ms. Hani to keep and retain in safe custody sufficient document for a period of 7 years from the end of the relevant year in relation to the business income.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Khairul Ahzan bin Muhammad Khairuddin. So today I will explain for the part of written and assessment under tax administration for individual in Malaysia. Tax returns and assessments are vital parts of Malaysia tax administration system for individuals. Individuals must annually file their income tax returns with the Inland Revenue Board of Malaysia (IRBM). Tax returns cover income earned within a specific tax year, typically from 1st January until 31 December. The IRBM conducts an assessment scrutinizing the submitted information for tax law compliance. Assessment includes reviewing income, deduction, relief, and other relevant detail provided by taxpayers. Upon completion, the IRBM issues a notice of assessment to taxpayers detailing tax payable or refunds. Taxpayers must review the assessment, pay any outstanding tax, or claim refunds accordingly. The process ensures tax compliance and revenue collection, emphasizing accurate and timely obligation fulfillment to avoid any penalties. So next, let us move on to amendment of tax return under tax administration for individual in Malaysia. Taxpayers in Malaysia may need to amend their tax returns due to errors, omissions, or changes in circumstances. The process of amending a tax return is overseen by the Inland Revenue Board of Malaysia (IRBM). Taxpayers must submit an amended return with corrected information and explanation within a specific time frame. The IRBM reviews the amendments for accuracy and completeness upon receipt of the amended return. After the review, a revised notice of assessment reflecting adjustment is issued to the taxpayer. Taxpayers must comply with the revised assessment by paying any additional tax or claiming refunds. Overall, the amendment process ensures for accuracy and integrity of tax assessment, allowing taxpayers to rectify errors, or update information as needed.
Understanding the consequences and offence is a must for taxpayer to avoid legal repercussion. For the first point, tax evasion involved in underreporting income. Penalty for this may include fine and imprisonment. For the second point, fail to file tax. It's either fail to file tax return or filing them late. It can also result in penalty. For the third point, false information. Provide misinformation on tax return can be a serious offence. We must speak truthfully in providing information. For the fourth point, fail to pay tax. Fail to pay tax or late payment can cause a penalty. They can also add penalty if repeated the same failure. The fifth point, tax fraud. Involve intentionally deceive tax authorities such as hiding income and false record. This can also lead to prison. And for the last point, negligence and carelessness. Taxpayer cannot make any mistake or carelessness because this also can cause penalty or imprisonment.
Now, let's look to the appeals. What is appeals? Appeal is when a tax payable dissatisfied with an assessment made on him is entitled to appeal by submitting Form Q, which is notice of appeals with a ground of appeals. There are two types of assessment, which is additional assessment and adverse assessments. For submission of notice appeal, Ms. Hani must submit 4 copies of form of all issue assessments to the IRB. The 4 copies of Form Q must compare at least one original copy. A completed Form Q must contain reason of disagreement, issue to be trial, date and amount of tax payable as stated in the notice of assessments, and lastly, signature by taxpayer. That's all for me. Thank you.
Lastly, conclusion. The scenario underscore the confusion surrounding tax obligation for influencer like Ms. Hanis in Malaysia self-assessment system, emphasizing the need for action from both influencer and tax authority and HDN to educate the public, clarify responsibility, and promote compliance through campaign and financial advisor.